back again with some more shenanigans. We are messing with the cluster today, and just pulled the stock one out. I actually have two of them. One, which is the one that I found at the junkyard, very high mileage, still in pretty good shape. It's a non-ASR model that I will be testing right now because I do have it up for sale. So I'm going to put this in the car and test it out, make sure everything works properly. And in the meantime, I'm going to be replacing the odometer gears on the factory one, or the stock one, because that is not working. It is stuck at 177.842. It has been stuck since I got it. And it must have died shortly after the guy had it registered, because it shows a different number earlier in 2021. So it's not like it's gone a bunch of miles in between then, but yeah, I need to get it back rolling. So this will be in the car for now. All the hookups are exactly the same as all of your lights over here, and it's nice because all of them are labeled with the corresponding number. Have a little ground right there, plug over here, got what, 2 or 3 plugs onto the actual speedo and odometer. Got your rheostat right there, and your, how many prongs is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, maybe I counted that, I don't know, 16 or 18 prong plug in. You have a 4-prong plug in right there. And yeah, it's pretty easy to get out. If yours has been out before, it's probably going to slide out pretty easily. I just use my hands. And if not, you just want to get those little hook tools and hook right onto these on the back side, and it comes out still pretty easy. All the cables, or majority of them, are hooked through this little plastic piece just to kind of keep them organized. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward process. And this is what it will look like when you have everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this one in, and then we'll start our testing. And the rest of this video, you guys will probably see me replace the gears on the speedometer. Don't mind my pale legs. It's about 90 some degrees out today, so I'm hot. All right, so there is the junkyard cluster in. I'm not gonna push it in all the way, it's still hanging out because I'm just here to test it. So I will go ahead, turn the key, and see what happens. Cool. So everything so far, gas gauge, all the lights. Let's go ahead and turn it over. Oh, and I forgot. Have to start in neutral. Good old neutral safety switch going out. So it's very likely that the odometer does not work on here, especially with the trip set to 0 like that. It doesn't give me confidence that that part is working just like on mine. So who knows, I may end up fixing both, but at least you know that the lights work and everything else. Check engine light should be on on mine. Looks like, yeah, everything's there, everything's working. The oil light will probably come on here shortly. Temp is working, you can tell I wasn't lying about it being hot. And let's go for a little cruise right now and see if our odometer and things work. All right guys, well, surprise, surprise, the odometer and trip odometer actually do work. That's pretty cool. All right, so for anyone interested in buying this unit, here it is in motion. Everything appears to be functioning correctly. Gas gauge, oil pressure, temperature, speedometer, and the odometer and trip odometer happen to be working, which I wasn't too confident they would be, but appears they are. Temperature gauge, digital, is working. You can see the oil light, SRS light, and check engine light is on, all associated with this car. That showed up on my stock cluster as well. Check engine light is for the knock sensor. Oil light is because the lower harness is deteriorating, and SRS light is because I have this aftermarket Momo wheel. RPM's working good, clock is working, and yeah, everything appears to be accurate. All right guys, so impressive. Everything seems to be working on this. I'm guessing the odometer and trip odometer gears had to have been replaced at some time in this cluster. Otherwise it's just, I don't know, flawless for going so many miles. So yeah, very cool. I will leave this one in for now. This will be my backup, and I will get this one fixed. All right guys, so following up from those first few clips you saw of the other cluster being swapped into the car for temporary usage and for testing, we now have the original gauge cluster, which is the 177,842, which is not accurate but close because it didn't stop working that long ago. But this one is out of a 94 E420. If you guys are not familiar, you can go check out the other videos to see what the car is, but we're going to be trying to replace the gears, which I'll show you here. So here are the gears that you'll need to replace the odometer and trip odometer. And from what I've seen online, most likely cause is the smaller gear, but it's a good idea to replace these two while you're in there. And notice they are a little bit different. The outside teeth are the same, but if you notice, the inner portion is a different number of teeth and different diameter. So I can pop up on screen the exact specs, or I'll just leave it down in the description below. I purchased these from Sun Automotive off of eBay, and I believe they were around $18 or so. So pretty expensive, but I mean, it's a one-time job. It's not that big a deal. Might as well get something quality. You'll notice a lot of times any plastics, especially from the German manufacturers, if they're originally like a green or a blue or a black based plastic, a lot of times the updated parts are a white based plastic, which is more likely than not because they're probably majority Delrin, which is a lot stronger and lasts a lot longer. So anyways, fun fact. Besides that, tools that we're going to be using, I have a little computer repair kit. You don't need this probably for this job. You just need a Phillips screwdriver. I think that's all it is, just Phillips screwdrivers to get this black portion out for the speedometer. And then I just have like a little pry tool, and I also have a little set of computer tweezers that I will use in case I need. But it should be pretty straightforward. We have to take out the rheostat. Have to slip out this wire. It clips in each one of these, so you can just slowly peel that out of there, and I will update you guys with all these screws and things I take out as I go. All right, so first step, getting that wire out of the way. It plugs into this one, and you just work its way out of these little clips. This one comes out this way, this one comes out from the top, this one comes out from the bottom, this one the bottom as well, this one the top side, and that last one you can see top side. Okay, next steps, I'm going to be going for the rheostat itself, and then I will start working my way around. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws in total that will need to come out. Once we get this whole thing out, then it'll be these 4 screws that will be holding this back plastic cover. So we'll get to that after those other ones. All right, so all of those outer screws are out now, and you can see the one in the rheostat's out. Once you get these 2 bottom ones out, you can just slip this piece for the connector right down, and you can see I have the screws laid out exactly how I took them out, so I know where they go afterwards, although they're all the same, so it doesn't really matter, but might as well put them back where they came from. Now we'll see. I'm not sure if this thing will just slide out or if I need to take the rheostat off first, which I think I do, so let me get that off first. All right, so yeah, this needed to come out first. It's got a prong going through, so that's where you adjust. I believe this is for like the lights, or could be wrong. Not sure. I'll have to look on the other side again, but definitely needs to come out before I can pull this out. All right, so that is out, and now we can pull this away. Just be gentle. And I'm getting caught up on something. Let's see. All right, it's getting caught up on something. Let me do this and I'll update you guys. All right, so it's out. I was beginning to think I needed to take one of these side panels off, but no, it just gets caught up on that little portion there. So it's best actually lift it up that way, and then you can start to kind of twist it and it'll come out pretty easy. So there we are. Now let's get inside here. There's the gears. And yep, you can see that gear is disintegrated. So in all likelihood, I could probably just replace that one. But since we're here, might as well replace all three. If I have the right ones. Hopefully I do. So let's take off this black plastic cover and we'll continue on our journey. All right, I'm off of the board now and onto my legs. So next part, we got that black plastic cover off. There's the 4 screws. And now we need to get those 2 flathead screws right there at both corners. And it should take off this plate and we should be able to get to all the gears. And be careful as well, this wire is still attached to this connector right here. So I could probably detach that, but rather than doing that, I'll just get everything from here without removing it. All right, so we have the gear plate off. Oops. Tree shrub. Anyways, have the gear sets off now. That's how they are situated. And there is the one that used to be this gear right here. It's disintegrated. Now I'm following a few tutorials online actually when I first started doing this, and then it's pretty easy once you get in here. You can kind of make sense of everything. But one key thing that I picked up off of the 500E board, shout out to Emery DC8 for the pictures and the write-up. He noted that Jixer, or Dave, also from 500E board, said to try to get this off without using any type of pliers or pulling on it, because you can damage the motor that's inside of here. So instead of trying to pry it off, what I'm going to do is just use a small blade and try to slice down the side so that I can basically just pry it off without putting any pressure on the actual pin. So I will try to get that off now, and then the next step will be replacing all the gears, putting everything back together, and fingers crossed after that. All right guys, well that little brass piece took me a lot longer than it should have, or at least I was hoping for. But in the end, the easiest thing that I found to do, trying to avoid prying on it at all to come off, was just a pair of some pincer pliers, and I basically just grabbed on to the end of it like this and just kind of squeezed around it as much as I could to try to deform the shape of it. And eventually, once it got a bit squared, you can see, then it slipped right off. So the reason you take this off is because the replacement small gear is a slip fit. It doesn't need that brass fitting anymore. So now we can finally start replacing the gears and putting everything back together. All right guys, so after some toying around, here is the finished gear stack. Now the orientation, the white larger gear with the smaller inner pulleys or inner teeth goes on the bottom there. So the frontmost. And then the one with the bigger inner teeth sits right here. And you can see that black one stays and the gray one stays that were there before. I'll show you guys the old gears. It's pretty interesting. I'm guessing they didn't come like this, but they could, I don't know, maybe they were rubber originally. they're still very pliable if they're supposed to be rubbery. Otherwise, I would assume that this means the plastic has broken down and it basically just turned into rubber. But I don't know, this seems very pliable if it wasn't rubber originally, so kind of curious. And both of them are like that, so I'm guessing that these are rubber gear sets originally. I don't know for sure. Somebody can tell me in the comments, I'm sure. But they're still in good shape. There's no teeth missing, I don't believe. What I see, yeah, they all look good. There was some crud stuck in a couple of the teeth on the black gear. I don't know if it was pieces of this one or pieces of the smaller gear that ended up getting stuck in it, but these look complete, so it must have been pieces of this that disintegrated and found its way in between the black gear. So I guess I will keep these on hand. You guys tell me, are they originally rubber or were they originally hard plastic? What's in there now is a hard plastic, so shouldn't have any issues. These ones are still in really good shape, and those are hard plastic. So biggest advice when putting these on, one of these gears was quite difficult actually to get the rod through it. The other one slipped on no problem, and that just has to do with, you know, the aftermarket manufacturing of these. So I just kind of filed it down at the edge to get it started, or at, you know, the center on one side to get it started with the razor blade. And then after that, just press it against something with some solidity, like a piece of metal or hard piece of wood, and just kind of slip it down on there, and it will be good to go. Then after you get them on, then you got to kind of figure out the orientation of how far these need to slide through. And in the end, the one with the gray gear sits a little bit higher than the one with the black gear. So yeah, play around with it and you'll see once you're in there. And make sure, it's always good. That's why it always helps that I'm taking videos of this. I can look back at the video, or you can take pictures as you're going, whatever is helpful. And there's definitely some good pictures online you can find too. So, all right, so they are situated back in there. I just gave it a few spins to make sure that they are moving in the right direction. And I got the trip odometer to spin a little bit, so I know they are working. You can see both the gears moving, so should be good to go. Button everything back up and get this reinstalled. All right, and of course I didn't mention it, but don't forget to put the small gear on last. You can actually do that from outside of the cover. You can do it after you put the cover on or before, either way. But I threw that on there. That's on good. All 4 backplate screws are on, so this is ready to go back in there, and then reassembly, kind of reverse of what we did at the beginning. All right, so all the screws are back in now. There's 2 things I want to tell you guys actually. First off, when you're getting the speedo out, the whole assembly, I didn't really notice that. That's what was getting stuck actually, not the top portion. There's a prong, like a little fork, and that's what rotates on a spring or operates on a spring to reset the trip odometer when you press forward on the little knob in the front. So when you press that forward, it hits that spring and resets your trip odometer to 0. So when you're putting the rheostat back in, you need to align that prong and kind of get it lined up. You can twist that knob in the front at the same time to get it to slip in there. That way it sits correctly, and this can go all the way flush. So when I first put it in, it wasn't sitting all the way flush with that black plastic at the bottom down here. So I needed to kind of move around that knob in the front, and then it sat perfectly. So all the screws are back in, realign that wire and all the clips, And the only thing left to do really is go swap it in the car and test everything out. All right guys, so next day after rebuilding the gears in the cluster, have the stock one swapped in now. There's the old 300,000+ mile one, and left it out just a little bit just so I can, you know, easily pull it out right now if I need to. I'm gonna go test it out and see how everything's doing. So far, so good. Our lights that were there before are still there. I'm sure the oil light will pop on here shortly, just like it always does. But everything else looks good. Digital cluster is reading good. The ASR light was illuminated. There goes the oil light, just on time. But yeah, everything's working. So now we just need to verify that these gears are working. So I'm gonna go for a quick drive and I'll update you guys. All right guys, we have success. Officially turned over a mile on the odometer, and the trip odometer is working its way as well. So really cool. For $17 or $18 and about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes worth of work, we have a functioning mileage display on the car, which is important for record, obviously, but you know, more so for maintenance and things like that, keeping track of your mileage for intervals of service. So yeah. All right, so that'll go ahead and do it for this one. Pretty easy job. Pretty nice to have this working now for not much money and not much time. So hopefully this is helpful for those that needed a video to follow along with. There's a lot of great tutorials online and great pictures to reference as you're working through, but you can always stop and pause the video as you're working your way through as well. Anyways, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.